Well, thank you all for coming out tonight. I'm so pleased that each of you could be here. It's wonderful you could make it. We really appreciate it. For those of you I don't know, my name is Aurora Tabar, and I'll be your host. So, is everyone comfortable? Does anyone need another glass of wine or some seltzer water? We got a bunch of pillows and blankets if you're cold. No? Everyone's pretty good to go?
Yeah, later. Yeah.
Comfortable? All right then, well, let's jump right in. So as I said, my name is Aurora Tabar, and I'll be giving a lecture tonight. Now, I've been preparing for a long time for this lecture. I've read books and articles, I've watched movies, and even a PBS TV series. I know, right? A serious student. Now, all of the hours I spent preparing for this lecture may not be completely evident in the lecture itself, but there are other ways I got ready that will be more obvious to you. So I washed my hair, and I brushed it. I shaved my legs. I painted my fingernails and my toenails, which I rarely ever do. I did pluck some hairs from above my lip and from between my eyebrows. And actually, a child this week told me that I look like I have a mustache, so I figured it was time. I wanted to do you that favor, so you're welcome. I took off my wedding ring. I took off my glasses. I took a sip of water. Took a lot of sips of water and some deep breaths because I was really, really nervous. Well, all right then. I'll jump right in. One, the theory of everything. String theory is a framework that attempts to explain all forces in nature. And for that reason, it has been described as the theory of everything. Modern physics has two basic scientific laws. The first is quantum physics, the study of the smallest subatomic particles in nature. The second is general relativity, which describes gravity and the relationship of objects on a macro scale, planets, galaxies, and the universe as a whole. Historically, quantum physics and the theory of relativity have been at odds. But string theory attempts to unify them. String theory postulates that instead of point-like particles, all objects in the universe are comprised of tiny, vibrating strands of energy, like violin strings vibrating to produce different notes. Sarah, I'm sorry about this, but I think my shoes might be under here. Make sure it's not true. I really appreciate it. I know I can bring up here by myself if you don't mind. No. Sound issues, it's just really, it's really nerve-wracking. Goodness. Thank you, sir. You would be the person to help me out. Thank you. Okay. It's really annoying. Clasps, I don't know if you can help me with those. Just try your best. This is really a little embarrassing. Oh, thank you. Goodness. I'm so lucky that you're in the audience tonight because, I know, this was a little tricky there. How are your fine motor skills? Good. Okay. Great. Oh my goodness. Thanks again. I'm sorry. That's embarrassing. Two, space and time. Within string theory, gravity can be explained as one type of particle, the graviton. But in 1915, long before string theorists were born, Albert Einstein outlined the theory of general relativity, which stated that gravity is a geometric property of space and time called spacetime. Is anyone going to get the door? I do think someone might be at the door. Oh, must be a ghost. Thanks, Noah. Mileva Maric was Einstein's first wife. As a child, she could often be found lying on the floor in her bedroom, feeling the weight of her muscles and joints on the ground. Mileva and Albert met at Zurich's Polytechnic University in the College of Mathematics and Physics, where she was pursuing her PhD. On the evening of October 23rd, 1901, as Mileva was walking home from the lab, she heard a rustling sound in the bushes nearby. She stopped and heard a male voice shout, "Hey, Mommy!" Mileva became aware that she was being watched. She looked down at her soft-to-the-touch cotton shirt and knee-length blue skirt, her bare calves and ankles exposed. She clenched her fists, and also her jaw. And at that moment, she took this photo. Three, observation. When I told my partner I was giving this lecture, he suggested I look into Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, which he said has something to do with the idea that just by observing a situation, we inevitably change it. Kind of like when you measure the pressure in your tires. Just the act of inserting the pressure gauge changes the amount of air. Well, I looked into Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, and that's not what it is. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle is a theory within quantum mechanics that states that the more precisely the position x of a particle is determined, the less precisely its momentum p can be known, and vice versa, which is clearly demonstrated by this diagram. And actually, when we reviewed our lines, when we were going over lines together, my partner argued with me here and said that it's not momentum, it's velocity that this theory outlines. And we looked it up, and it turns out momentum and velocity are at times interchangeable, so I guess we're both right. Anyway, what my partner was actually referring to is called the observation effect. Welcome, welcome. See? I knew someone was coming. What my partner was actually referring to is called the observation effect, which is commonly mistaken for the uncertainty principle. This photo was taken just last week as I was walking to my studio, which is right around the corner from my house. And I was going there to work on this performance. When I turned the corner, there were a couple of guys standing there. And when they saw me, one of them said, "Hey, you good?" I've been in the neighborhood long enough to know "you good" means, "Are you buying?" So I said, "Nah, I'm good." "You good?" "I'm good." He said, "But I'd be better if I had a pretty lady like you. You have a nice face." Four, dimensions. In everyday life, there are three familiar dimensions. Sorry. In everyday life, there are three familiar dimensions. Harlan, can I get my line here?
4 dimensions. In everyday life, there are 3 familiar dimensions of space: height, width, and length. Add to that time and you get the 4th dimension, Einstein's concept of spacetime.
Okay. Thanks. 4 dimensions. In everyday life, there are 3 familiar dimensions of space: height, width, and length. Add to that time, and you get the 4th dimension, Einstein's concept of space-time. One of the problems with string theory is that it cannot exist in a world with only 4 dimensions because it requires at least 10 dimensions to work. Mileva eventually gave up her ambitions in the field of science. She failed her exams, and she was denied a diploma. She became pregnant while unmarried and gave birth to a daughter who either died or was adopted. Mileva and Albert eventually married in 1903, and she became a housewife. She gave birth to 2 more sons. Testimonies from people who knew them well, and letters between them indicate that Mileva and Albert collaborated closely on a number of theoretical physics concepts and papers from their school days up until 1914. In 1919, after Albert had an affair with his cousin, the two divorced. Albert Einstein won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1921. And Mileva struggled financially for the rest of her life. The unknown. Although scientists can create calculations of string theory in model universes, they cannot prove string theory through experimentation. This is a model. This is progress. This is a neutron. This is standing trial. These are brains. This is dirt. This is coming back to the same ideas in the same place over and over. These are clipped images of Victoria's Secret models taped to the wall. This is a blue skirt. This is a list of sex positions. This is a list of particles. This is cosmic microwave background radiation. This is a nipple. These are questions. This is a fragment of the whole story. This is one moment in time. This is a model. This is progress. This is a neutron. This is standing trial. These are brains. This is dirt. This is cosmic microwave background radiation. This is a list of sex positions. This is a list of sex positions. This is a nipple. This is a model. This is a model. This is a nipple. This is coming back to the same ideas in the same place over and over again. This is coming back to the same ideas. This is a fragment of the whole story. This is a neutron. This is one moment in time. This is a model. This is one moment in time.